Afternoon. It's the 3rd of March 2017, and today I'm going to cover, this is volume 8, I think it is, going to cover some postal missions from Iraq. Postal missions, it was mobile postal missions, so it was MPM for in short. Everything in the Army has had an acronym for everything other than using the bathroom, and there's probably something of that nature too. But we had teams of 4. Some teams, depending on the size of the mission, they might have gotten 5 people here and there, but I'd say 99.8% of the time it was always missions of 4. The first mission I ever went on was right before I went home on quote-unquote mid-tour leave, which was still very early in my time in Iraq. And I went to Fob Shield in Baghdad. And Fob Shield was a very interesting, unique place. It was basically where we were training up the new Iraqi military's intelligence command. And it was supposed to have been, I'm not 100% sure, but it was supposed to have been, the rumor was that it was a location that basically was kind of like a brainchild, if you will, of John McCain, which, of course, this was in 2008, so he was also running for president during this time period, and Joseph Lieberman, who was, if you remember Joseph Lieberman, he was picked to be Al Gore's vice presidential candidate against Bush in 2004. And the first time I was there, the rumor was that McCain and Lieberman was in country. They were going to come to the FOB, but it never materialized because of weather or something of that nature. But anyway, so what a postal mission entailed was you would have a team leader, and then you would have a finance clerk, and then you would have at least 2 inspectors. Matter of fact, that first mission I was on, we did have 5 people. So your team leader is pretty much, their role is pretty much to facilitate travel. You get a break while you were working. And then your inspectors pretty much would, every piece of mail would come up to be mailed. It would have to be either opened or not sealed. And you'd open it up, and then you would, look through the material that was, to be sent, and you'd have to make sure that things were not in the unmailable list. And a lot of that just entailed, like weapons of, some sort, or some sort of contraband, things of this nature. War trophies, things of that nature. Well, anyway, so the first mission went pretty much without a hitch and everything. And we took pretty much, I think it was all, we took a Black Hawk flight and then some convoys. And the convoy, the one thing I do remember about the main convoy we took was we went through a market area. And, no, that might have been the second one. But anyway, we went through a market area. No, it was the first one. We went through a market area, and it was crazy, just crazy. And people coming up, we never got out of the vehicles. We were locked and loaded just in case anything was to take place. But people would come up to the kids or whatever, and you're hearing all the racket, so on and so forth, and you don't know. I mean, you don't know if anything's going to happen or not. But I do remember that going to the market area, and there's another story of a later mission where we went through a market area, and things got really quiet. And you're always told that if you're ever in a market area where part of it's very festive, and then you turn a corner and it gets very, very quiet, well, things can turn, pretty deadly pretty quick. And it just didn't happen. It was very, very quiet. So we're very, aware of our surroundings. It just anything never materialized. So, time goes on. I go on leave, come back, do another mission with another crew. And then they started to really kind of put teams together. And, our team was, our main team that I was on most of my missions with was, MPM Team 3, which was Sergeant Simmons, who had deployed with me from Fort Lewis. He had got his E5 in Iraq. And then there was Hayes. Hayes was also part of our 22nd Company at Fort Lewis, but he deployed with a different team, from Lewis, but he was for the postal missions. He was on our team. And then Specialist Mueller, who was from the 347th Company. It was I don't remember if it was an ATAR company or not, but they were out of Germany, and then of course myself. And that was the I'd probably say 85% of the missions I went on, that was who I was with. And we went, God knows, we went to all sorts of different places. And we went back to Shield, I think one time, as far as a group of us. I missed one mission to Shield. This was during the Summer Olympics when everything was in China. And we were supposed to go and take a helo out, and for whatever reason, whether it was weather or wind, I think it might have more like wind more than like sandstorm or whatever, but something in the atmosphere caused us to miss our flight. So, and we waited for like 3 hours, just waiting if we were going to get on this helo. And I picked up I was one of the inspector guys, so I picked up the bag with all of the equipment, and it kind of slightly dislocated my wrist. So I missed. They went the very next day, but we went to the TMC, and the doctor said you need to sit one out. And I really tried to go because I wanted to be with my guys, and but that was the only thing I ever missed. And I think they actually almost took a direct hit in a rocket attack. I think on that mission there was some stories about that. But anyway, so I kind of missed a little bit of terror there. But anyway, we went all over the place. There was this one place called Dragon. I think it was Dragon. And it was like an old, like a nuclear plant or something that the Iraqis were trying to build and everything. And there was like these urban legends, if you will. Well, they had the Russians and they're building it. And I'm going to tag the guys in this video and everything, and if they remember it differently, they can definitely chime in. But anyway, it was like this very, very uneasy feeling looking place because it's unfinished work. And you got like these supposed to be like these columns going up, and it's got the iron, bars and, all that kind of stuff. And it's just unfinished. And supposedly, the local Iraqis, one by one, for a long period of time would kidnap these Russian construction workers, and they would decapitate them. And they would put their heads on posts all the way around the perimeter of this facility. And this had to have been sometime in the 80s or 90s time frame. And so the Russian workers, told the Kremlin, or Boris Yeltsin, whoever it was after the USSR fell, whenever this was, we're leaving. And but that's kind of the stories we would always do. It was an unfinished area, but it was a large enough facility where whenever we moved in, we could make it a home. And I remember there's one story. We went there I think 2 or 3 times. One of the times we went there, and this is mission 4, 5, 6, whatever it was, with these guys. we were taking a break from work. We might have already finished or just taking a break, and we went to go get something to eat. And Mueller noticed the food to him just didn't look good. Now the rest of us, and he was just as hungry as we were, and we whatever, we're going to eat food. So he got like a little salad or whatever. So he eats his little rabbit food, and we're chowing down on whatever it was, the pizza, hamburger, french fries, whatever. And a few weeks later, the three of us, Harlan, Bernard, and I, we get sick, stomach issues. And it was over basically about a month time period. We were either constipated or we had extreme diarrhea. And it was so funny because we would go to the latrine and we would literally be like stalled next to the stall, next to the one. And, it was brutal. God, it was brutal. And Eugene would just kind of like have this little sly laugh about it. And, because he could see that it just didn't look good to him. So he saved himself for about a month of very bad discomfort. And we all kind of got like stomach issues with the stomach ulcers and all sorts of different problems because of it. But, that was a very unpleasant experience. But that was kind of Dragon, and Dragon, it wasn't a bad place to go work. And it was all concrete floors. I don't really remember specifically the room they would put us in to sleep. But the working conditions wasn't too bad. They gave us, for Eugene and I pretty much did the inspecting, and Bernard would jump in with whenever he could to do some inspecting as well. And we had a nice open area though where we had enough room where we could kind of maneuver around. Anyway, so we also went to this place called Mama Dia. Now Mama Dia was kind of on the outskirts. They used to call it the Triangle of Death. And the reason why they called it that is because there was just tons and tons of fighting all through this region. So anytime you were there, you had to be cognizant and very, very aware of just the overall surroundings of, not so much on post per se, but, when you're in the Black Hawks flying over or, and it was kind of out in the countryside, if you will, or whenever you take a convoy out from that area, if you had to do that, just the local area, IED, so on and so forth. Well, anyway, so we're working at Mama Dia, and we'd already been there one time before, and so they come in there, and their little post office was a pretty good little size area where we would, get set up to work, and had air conditioning, it was enclosed. Well, some of their people, they had these things, they're called paladins. And this will be very unpolitically correct, but if you've never seen one, picture a retarded looking tank with a really big gun. Okay, and that's kind of what these things look like. And they shot a massive shell. And these things could shoot from, best as I understand, up to somewhere around 20 miles. I mean, these things can shoot, okay? And so they come in there and they tell us, hey, we're gonna shoot around because we got some intelligence. We got this target we've been trying to get. We're gonna take him out. Well, they tell us they're gonna shoot one round, okay? And so they tell us we're gonna do it in about 5 minutes. Well, we're in there, and we're just sitting there, and we're real still. We're waiting for it to shoot. And then somewhere around 5 minutes, they shoot it. Well, of course, we were expecting a shot. It was an experience that it always sucks. It feels like it sucks the air out of the room. And when you're that close. And we were probably 15, 20 yards, maybe a little bit closer than 15 yards, but no more than 20 from where they shot this thing. So just the reverberations, oh my goodness. I mean, it literally just completely unnerved you, and you knew it was coming. So, and with the echoes and sound in that room, I mean, it literally just gives you the heebie-jeebies, okay? Well, anyway, so we're like, okay, all right, that was an experience. So we get to kind of just milling around, waiting for another soldier to come in and everything. And they shoot another one. And we were not expecting another shot. And this, literally, to this day, almost, closing in on 10 years later, 9-something years later, whenever I hear something of a loud boom that I'm not expecting, I literally go back to that place in Iraq that day. Okay? Because you talking about the pucker up effect, goodness gracious. It does. It scares the bejesus out of you. And again, it like sucks the air out of the room and everything, and it unnerves you. And oh goodness, I mean, I'm telling you, to this day, whenever rifle shot, shotgun blast, I mean, it could be a bookshelves of books that fall over on a cement floor or something. I mean, just whoo. I mean, nah. I go back to that day, and actually, that's just straight up truth. Prime example, this was my birthday in 2013. The story here is, I'm out of the Army by a week at this point in time, and Amanda and I, we weren't married yet, and we're trying to find a place for my birthday. And it was horrible, horrible rain, and we're driving, and a transformer blows off to my left-hand side on one of the roads here in Cobb County, and I saw black. Okay, I saw black, and I'm driving I had a truck at the time, and I'm driving my truck. I see black for probably 5 to 10 seconds, and it's pouring down raining. And literally the only thing that kept me from wrecking the truck was just listening to Amanda's voice until I kind of came back into, reality, if you will. But I felt my skin crawl. Okay. And all of this goes back to that day at Mama Dia, because we wasn't expecting that shot. Now at Mama Dia, whenever come to sleeping, they would put us in the thing they call the kennel. And that's exactly what it was. It was a kennel for like their canine soldiers and so on and so forth. But they would put us in there, and it smelled like wet dog. Okay, there's no other way of getting around it. I mean, it smelled like wet dog. Not a pleasant smell. And two funny stories about it though is well, actually one real main funny story, but we were in there, and sometimes he would go with finance, a finance crew from the 9th Finance, which was also out of Fort Lewis, and it was a female crew. Well, they put the females in there with us, and they kind of made us a little divider and everything. And I mean, what no, hanky panky or anything will take place, but it was kind of, kind of odd in a sense. But anyway, and then the other funny part of the story is really just my own individual sense of humor, but just making comments about, the smell and just stupid stuff like that. But anyway, so that was kind of an experience. We went into one place. I don't remember the name of it. Again, some of the other guys, they'll say it, they'll chime in with the name, but they called it, where we slept, with a chic shack. And what the purpose, we went there I think 2 or 3 times, and the purpose for that place was, the chic shack is they would meet with the local sheiks and everything, and they would do meetings and, pretty much pay them off so they could get information about the local scene. Well, anyway, So we get ready. It's the first time we've been there, and we get ready to. We had noticed this big, like 120 millimeter mortar, on the other side of the gate of where the Sheik Shack was, and they tell us about 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning that we're going to shoot off an illuminating round, and all that is, if you're not familiar with that, is it was just to illuminate the landscape where the guard towers there could look out and see if there was any activity. Because during this time period, they're evil. Okay, these insurgent people, they're just flat out evil people. They would use mentally challenged people, children, maybe even pets or whatever, and they would send the people to the guard towers and the gate and everything over a period of, who knows, I mean, a couple of weeks or whatever. They would see how the American soldiers would react to it, see if they would lower their guard, and then they would try to send those people up towards the gate, and then they would set off, they'd strap them with some bombs or whatever, and they'd set them off with a phone call to try to blow them up as they get closer to the gate. So that kind of activity was going on in this area, not just this particular fob, but that whole area. It's kind of their little MO for quite a while. So they would shoot these mortars off, to illuminate the sky, just to kind of see if they could see any activity in the mornings. Well, anyway, so they tell us this, and it's kind of like the thing at Mama Dia, so you kind of know going in that you're going to probably get woke up or whatever. Well, we work our behinds off, this one individual, and it was extremely hot, and that room, it had the strongest, most ice cold air conditioner I think I've ever felt in my life. Okay, that's like 120, 130 degrees pretty much during this time during the year in Iraq. So anything, whenever it drops down to 90 degrees or lower, I mean, you're cold. Okay, that's it could be a 20 to 40 degree temperature drop. It was probably 60 degrees in that little Sheik Shack. Well, anyway, that sucker goes off. It's pitch black. I do remember this Sheik Shack thing was literally pitch black in there. You can't see anything. Your hand could be 2 inches in front of your face. You can't see your hand. So I think every single one of us, when that sucker shot off, we're reaching for our weapons. I mean, it literally woke us up like just out of a dead sleep, and we went out. Okay, we were just exhausted. And I mean, literally, we're looking for some light, some chem light, something. Grab our weapons, and we're going we're going out the door to fight. I mean, that's kind of what we were. And I mean, it scared the bejesus out of all 4 of us. And it was like, oh, they shot the mortar. So we kind of laughed and everything. And one of the things I would do is a lot of times in the missions, like when we get done, I'd get a little bite to eat. I would just go go to sleep. Then I'd wake up sometime midnight and I'd go take a shower, come back and finish up sleep and everything. And that would allow me a little bit extra time in the mornings to sleep a little bit extra. Rest of the guys would get up like on a normal routine, go shave, and I'd take care of that like midnight, and when I take my shower. But anyway, so that was and plus I remember this is kind of a gross story. Then the next time we went to that particular place, my nose was so clogged up with just sand and dirt. I remember I stuck just a little pinky part of the end of my pinky in both nostrils, and I think I pulled out a 10-pound booger from both nostrils. And that cold air, because I couldn't breathe, and that cold air going down in my lungs, I mean, it felt so refreshing. And I think I went to sleep right away after each nostril was cleaned. And but anyway, I mean, I never saw the snot booger. I mean, I could just feel it. It was huge, both of them. And but anyway, so that's kind of a interesting little funny story. I mean, driving in the convoys, I mean, there's plenty of things that could go in every different, we had some bonehead second lieutenants, first lieutenants on some of our convoys that could have got us killed. I mean, it just stupid decisions, trying to be Rambo and, Tom Hanks from Saving Private Ryan, something. I mean, just glory hounds. And, we had that. We had, just several different, issues in convoys where, I mean, things could really, really, really go bad. We had this one Black Hawk flight where we know we were taking some ground fire. We were over, I want to say it was the outskirts of like Solder City. Solder City was still hot during this time period. And we flew around for like 30 minutes. I mean, it was horrible. And I had to pee. I had to pee horribly. I just let's get where we got to go so I can go take a piss. So, but, and we don't know what's going on. We just kept flying around in a circle. It was a big circle. It wasn't a small circle. And we were waiting. What ended up happening, we were taking ground fire, and we kind of figured that out, but I wasn't really worried because I was able to look right at one of the gunners, and he was on his gun, but he had his camcorder out, and he was just filming. So I'm thinking, okay, well, if he's filming, then I'm not so much worried about getting RPGs or anything of that nature. So anyway, so they call in an Apache gunship, and the Apaches, they had infrared and all of this kind of stuff, so they could. The rules of engagement was, I'm sure if it was like, 2 or 3 years before, the gunners on the Black Hawk could really shoot down just in the general location where they thought the ground fire was coming from. But with the rules of engagement being what they were, we had to wait for like an inspector gunship, or not really so much an inspector gunship, but that's a C-130, but an Apache gun helicopter, because it had the infrareds that they could kind of pick up where the fire was coming from. I didn't actually see the Apache shoot. I could hear it shoot a little bit, and then I could look off to my left-hand shoulder because I was sitting right by the door. And I didn't see the actual impact, but you could see the debris flying up. And there was a little bit of flame that was kind of coming through when it shot. And that was kind of an impressive little thing. So we get to where we were supposed to go, which was a place called Callahan. Now, Callahan was this old, what we were told, like a shopping center. And it was built straight up. And kind of a medieval, almost looking kind of architecture and everything. Medieval might not even be the right word for it, but not something you would see 20th century, really. Anyway, long story short, we get there, and we're still probably an hour before we're supposed to start working. So we go get something to eat. We're kind of just walking around, and I will tell you a little funny story in a second. So we get on top of the roof, and they got all their camo netting around and so on and so forth. Well, we're up there, and the best of my memory, there was like 2 PFCs that kind of came up there in a hurry after we walked up there, and they were ushering us back to come inside because there had been reports about like they believed a sniper was on rooftops in that local area. That's the best of my memory. But we first get in there into Callahan, and I swear I thought this guy was a PFC, but the PFC rank and the staff sergeant rank looks very, very similar if you're not looking close enough. Well, anyway, this guy is carrying this huge gun on his shoulder, and it went to, I think it was like a 30 millimeter cannon tubes or whatever. And I mean, you could tell. I mean, he's physically capable of carrying it, but he's struggling. So, and I said, well, it sucks to be you. And I don't think nothing of it. So we get into the facility, and Sergeant Simmons is like, "Don't you ever do that again." I was like, "What? It was a PFC." He said, "No, he was a staff sergeant." I was like, "No, he's a PFC." He says, "No, you should have seen his look on his face." And I guess he was making a look towards Sergeant Simmons about get your soldier under control. So, me with my smart mouth, and just causing troubles, all I ever did. And well, anyway, we had tons of missions where we went through about every kind of emotion you can think of. We would get stranded for several days. We got stranded one time for a whole week. And we would always take maybe at the most, because we had to carry so much stuff. I mean, when I would do as one of the inspectors, I would probably carry a duffel bag that was 150 pounds worth of equipment. And then I would have an assault pack, which could weigh up to about 30 pounds. Then you have all your body armor. You've got your weapon. You've got your ammunition. You've got just God knows how much metal. And I was 200 plus pounds. And sometimes you're running. You're running from place to place trying to get onto a bird or trying to get off the bird because, they're like, move out quick or whatever. So, I mean, it's ungodfully hard on your body, on your person. And we went into this one place. We was stranded one time for a while. Then this was like Murray, I think. They had in some of our like real cool soldiery hua pictures and everything we took was in like this old bombed out, destroyed property, and it's right like on the banks of either the Tigris or the Euphrates River. I got some pictures of the guys, really good pictures of the guys with the river up behind them. And but anyway, long story short, they told us when we went out, you had to. We were okay to walk into the facility, but you couldn't walk across kind of like the yard. There was a path we should take because there was landmines still, supposedly from what this one guy told us, that was still out there. So, but we had, according to the schedule, we had like 45 minutes to an hour before the birds were supposed to come in and pick us up. So we go to it and everything. We're walking around and just looking at all the different destruction and so on and so forth, taking our pictures and stuff, and just laughing, just having a good time. I mean, we've worked for a week, doing these missions, and so we're just, Eugene and I shared a cigar, and I wish I had a picture of the two of us smoking a cigar. It was really kind of just a neat time, and so we're finished up. We're just having a good time. We're right with the world and all this kind of stuff. And then I'm looking and I'm like, is that our birds? So all of us start looking. Is that our birds coming in? Because we would look at each other like, there shouldn't be any birds coming in, any Blackhawks, for another 15, 20 minutes, whatever. And these things are coming in fast. Well, here they come, and they literally they're coming in. And so we go haul-tailing it through this area where they told us not to go. If there were landmines there, I don't know. But we go running through this. I mean, it's just debris. I mean, it is just nothing but debris in this whole area. So, and they might have told us about the landmine things just to keep us out of it from getting hurt. And we run as fast as we can, and we had all of our stuff staged up, and we barely get on the birds, and we'd already been stranded for 4 or 5 days. We did one mission where we were stranded for a whole week, and when you're wearing the same underwear for a week, I mean, things grow on you Okay, that's all I'm going to say. It's not pretty. It takes about 3 to 4 showers to kind of really disinfect yourself and everything. It's just nasty. And but it's a great experience. I mean, it's something that I can always tell my my kids and grandkids whenever that time comes. I mean, Daddy and Granddaddy had some fungus grow on him. I mean, it's kind of an interesting story. But anyway, I mean, it going out on those missions, I mean, it gave you a really good appreciation about what the combat guys do and everything and everything. And I look back and I just, I wrote a thing on Facebook just the other day and everything. And I do, sometimes I cry thinking about these guys. Because you get to know them in every imaginable possible way and everything. And it's something that I will always be extremely thankful for. And again, thank God nothing ever seriously ever took place. We would have, we would have definitely acted if we ever had to have. And I'm leaving a lot of stuff out, but from different missions and stuff. And like I said, the guys, they'll see this and they'll make comments if they feel the need to about their own individual, reminiscences of things and whatnot. But anyway, I mean, we had a really, really good experience. Again, you run through the gamut of emotions, everything from happiness to fear to joy to despair. I mean, it just, you name it. Okay. But it brings you closer together, and it's something that you have, and I'm sure that, the combat MOS soldiers who actually had to kick down doors and all of that it entails, they have their unique stories and bonds that our guys, may or may not, have had to feel or go through. But we have that, the four of us, the other people that was on the missions, have that, and that's something that we'll never lose and everything. But, and I love these guys. I do. I mean, it just warms my being whenever I think about them or get a message, or regardless if it's text message or Facebook or whatever. But anyway, before I get to weeping and crying, I look back at it with just fond eyes. That's I guess really all you really kind of need to know about that. But anyway, so this was our missions and everything, and the next video I'll post will be leaving. I guess it'll be more like leaving Iraq, getting back to Fort Lewis and everything. So until then, this is Caleb signing off the net.